Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, August 1st. It's a new month. We are done with the month, so that means it's time for the reward. Made it to rank 20, which is about standard. We've got our new card back. We'll set that as our new default. These card backs changing every month don't really mean anything to me, but heck, we're getting them, so we might as well use them. I imagine it is not too far away from the point where we will see. Do I want to play combo cards or do I want to try and win? I think I prefer to play combo cards. And let's go into the collection first. We've got like one new card there that I'm not gonna deal with. Let's just hop into here to the Tavern Brawl. Yeah, the next expansion should be pretty quick. I think maybe the day was announced, but I've forgotten it. Win on your first victory this week. Valeria's stolen spells from every class and filled your deck with them. Each of these spells will summon a random minion at the same cost when you've played, so it doesn't even matter what character you play, and so they're not even gonna let you pick. Alright, good enough. So, starting a little late today, just about 25 minutes past the point where I'd like to start. I generally want to start around 5 p.m. Central Time. Feeling a little tired too, so I definitely had that feeling where I was like, I kind of wish I could go back to sleep and create instead of
watch your back. I always do.
Streaming. I am continuing to play the Borderlands game. Let's see. But I am in a weird position certainly where Borderlands 2 is just kind of more Borderlands 2. I got to the point in the story where, spoiler alert for a very old game at this point, Sanctuary moves. And once Sanctuary moves, you're stuck for about an hour, maybe 2.5 hours. Somewhere in between those two. Once you're at that point, you can't do anything as far as going back to Sanctuary, selling your guns, opening gold keys, which I have a considerable amount of gold keys that I wanted to open. I wanted to open 5 or I think I opened 10 when I finally did get back to Sanctuary. But you get stuck in the spot where you're running through no less than 3 levels just to get back to where you were. They should clearly in the game have given you a second location that had slot machines and a golden chest. Just a secondary, smaller Sanctuary place would have been really nice for several different reasons. Like, if you fast traveled into a small 1x1 room that doesn't have anything in it other than one of each vending machine and some slot machines and some vending machines and the gold chest and the skin changer, that would have been all you really needed. Access to the vaults and the other location, what is it, where you could transfer items to other characters, like, but honestly accessing the vault and transferring items to the other characters on your save file isn't even really that big of an issue. because you don't do it that often, or at least not as a single player. And once I got back to Sanctuary, then a whole new collection of quests opened up, moving me around. You very much jump from something that, like, one of the lowest quests is like a level 14 that I have as an optional quest, and then it jumps to level 19. So in that 2.5 hours, you seem to level up your challenge quite a bit, which definitely needed to happen because there was most certainly an amount of what am I trying to say here? Yeah, there definitely was a point in Borderlands 2 where I was just overpowered. And I wasn't overpowered to the point where I was getting one-hit kills or anything, but I definitely feel like I was just not getting as much as I would have liked. Keep on playing. I don't know if there's really anything else to say about Borderlands 2 though. That I got 3 or 4 hours of footage recorded, which this is turning into certainly the new normal for me, is that once per day I'm only getting 3 or 4 hours. Maybe if I it's not healthy to work 7 days a week always, but maybe that is a better thing just for my crazy schedule, to get 3 hours 7 days a week instead of trying to get 6 or 8 hours in a single day. Of course, the way my insomnia is working right now, so where I'm taking naps and then waking up in the middle of the night and recording, is also helping that in a weird way, but it's just not a healthy thing to do. There is a question certainly that came up in my mind, and I'm gonna have to bring it up in the pre-recorded footage too, is how did Tiny Tina's parents die in a world where everybody seems to get revived? It seems like the only way you could actually die on Pandora is if you had no money on you whatsoever. You were robbed and then killed. And that seems weird. Or maybe there's something about the heads-up display unit that you just happen to have. Really, a combo priest? That's odd. We're back to rank 24, so we might as well play ranked. Yeah. And Tiny Tina still adds a lot of problems to the world of Pandora, because it just doesn't feel like there should be any kids in the game. And that the fact that there's one that makes you wonder, are all those psycho midgets that are running around, are those kids? Have I been shooting kids for 2 games at this point, or what? You know, it's just hard to figure out.
The light shall bring victory.
Like, I love her as a character, she just doesn't make any sense. A single line of dialogue that would say something along the line of, I crashed down here on the way to a much safer planet where kids are allowed, or it needs to say, I know kids aren't I know Pandora is no place for kids, but it's actually a funny story of how I ended up here. Anything to just kind of address the fact that she's theoretically the only kid on Pandora.
Put this apple on your head.
Right away.
There's also some weirdness in Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 where there really isn't normal people very often, or they're very easily overlooked. You'll see a random normal, not crazy person in a city every now and then, but for the most part they just don't exist. And when you play Tales for the Borderlands, you start to run into a lot more people that are not as crazy as the vast majority of crazy people that you run into, marauders, psychos, and such. And certainly some of that can get explained away by the fact that there is a reward on your head.
I don't need any of you.
I don't know why this is being called a combo priest. I don't see any combo anything here. But yeah, the games, Tales from the Borderlands versus regular Borderlands games are kind of drastically different. Moving on, let's start going through the news, because I do want to kind of burn through the news rather quickly today. If I could get a 2-hour stream today, that I would be okay with that.
I don't need any of you.
Oops. PC Gamer has an article, GTA Online data miners uncover a second Red Dead Redemption 2 themed weapon with another map-wide treasure hunt. So, seems like the GTA Online is teasing Red Dead Redemption 2, but I don't think this is any real indication that Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming to PC. Even if it did come to PC, you're still in a very odd position where it really wouldn't feel like the right thing to play it on PC, because you don't have Red Dead 1 or Red Dead Redemption 1, which, yeah, I don't even know how you dance around that one. Gematsu has an article, Robotics Notes DASH for PS4 and Switch launches November 22 in Japan. Let's see. A story of the former members of the Robot Club. What kind of game is it? Apparently it's a visual novel, but looking at the characters, it's a little bit different type of story. Looks like it's a slice of life type visual novel of friends. Yeah, I don't even think it's gonna have like a romance element to it, or if it is, it's not gonna be much. So yeah, that one probably won't come to the West, or if it does, it'll be a while.
Engaging TC-130 into dislocator. Mind if I roll need? We've got a game on Steam that's early access called Beware of Trains. They're calling it a violent puzzle sandbox in the description. It seems like what you're trying to do in this game is cause train accidents in the sandbox to run over characters. Now, I will say the animation style here, yeah. I'm just gonna switch over here to these combo cards. Whatever this is not, shouldn't be called a combo priest.
I look forward to the next expansion so I can get rid of that one. It's just like low polygon designs, probably asset flips, but not, I wouldn't call the whole game an asset flip. So I don't know if it really falls into the category of being called a flip at that point. It probably just has assets. 40 Steam achievements, which is kind of interesting. $7.99 at full price. I don't see anything here that would be interesting enough to make me want to play it. The thing I think that kills this as an idea is that you're, sorry, yawning, you're kind of in a third person over the shoulder perspective with these trains, when this really feels like this should be a disassociated from reality top-down perspective. When the camera is getting up and close at, I'm looking at one picture of a policewoman running for her life as a train is coming barreling down. That's just not the kind of way I would depict the fantasy violence there. It stops being funny and it becomes just kind of what would you say? Kind of grotesque a little bit, a little too aggressive. Moving on, Gematsu has an article. Compile Heart's new RPG Arc of Alchemist for PS4 launches November 29th in Japan. Updated. Let's see. The update is simply who's working on it, so that wasn't much of an article.
So many options.
Job's done.
GameIndustry.biz has an article. Team 17, everyone is expecting us to buy a lot of studios. CEO Debbie Bestwick discusses managing expectations following her company's IPO. I think inherently if your initial public offering is then immediately followed up with using the money that you got from that from the selling of stock of your company from the initial public offering to just spend that money to invest in other companies, that's inherently an admittance that your company has nothing better to do with their with the money, and you're kind of just running a con. And I guess that's investing in general, is that if your company can't make money, invest it in some company that you think can make money, which then makes this domino effect when companies like Apple lose their valuation or some valuation on their stocks, because then every other company that has shares of Apple also suffer. Let's see. Let's go and
You looking at me?
and play this.
Job's done.
Then end the turn. Going down further on this article, it says Team 17 has a slightly contradictory feeling about being known as the Worms Company, which inherently that is what they were. That they were the company that made the Worms games, which weren't bad. In fact, they were pretty popular when they originally came out. They were effectively the Smash Brothers before there was a Smash Brothers. Style of party game. Here's a quote: "The amount of people who don't realize we were even involved in Overcooked and Ukulele, that's how it should be." See, Team 17 became a publisher, and it started publishing other games. I don't know if you inherently say anything more than that. Like, a publisher is a publisher. They funded the release of the games, but there's two different evaluations you have to put on the companies. What are they publishing and what are they making? When you look at Gearbox, that's a great example since I'm playing Borderlands 2. What has Gearbox made in the past few years versus what is it published? Do we give it credit for We Happy Few, or do we hold it to the fire because they've only really published Battleborn, a failure, Desert Bus VR, which was always a gag product in the first place, Duke Nukem Forever, which arguably you could give Gearbox a pass on Duke Nukem Forever because so many other people had their hands in it too. But particularly if you look at Gearbox and you don't speak the name of Borderlands, they really don't have anything they've ever made that's good. And not under the Gearbox name, at least. And that kind of then gets into a question that's hard to answer, and I'm not sure I do have the answer. As far as, is it possible that the 2K, the publisher of the Borderlands series, has had more effect on that game being good than Gearbox, the developer of the series? I doubt it, but it might be the case. I'm really starting to wonder if maybe 2K Games should just have a different company make Borderlands 2 and completely. Like, just move it on. Borderlands 3 has taken way too long to be made. It is questionable in my mind whether the story and attitude will be the same, because I think just in the game industry, and particularly in Gearbox, is Randy Pitchford's mind. So I need a victor with Priest or Warlock now. I think they've all kind of gone a lot more conservative, and so they might not want to have the same jokes where they're just saying "but" or the F word or cussing or just being ridiculous and insane. Like, one of the worst ways Borderlands 3 could come out is it's just this SJW virtue signaling censored version of the game. If the midgets aren't called midgets anymore, or just are completely eliminated, if it doesn't have that feeling.
Your soul shall be mine.
Of course, that is also the exact thing that made Duke Nukem Forever not really work, is that Duke Nukem as a character had this really stupid hardcore 90s vibe to it, and when it came out, when Duke Nukem Forever came out, it just felt dated and pathetic and just ridiculous. Of course, if the game had been good, that would have overcome a lot of issues. Let's see, is there anything more on this article with Team 17? Quote here: "You're not going to see us go out there and pick up a $20 million project anytime soon, or a £20 million project." They're British. Here's a quote: "I'm a big fan of Ubisoft. When I first visited them, they were a mail order company." Here's another quote: "The UK has created some of the best IPs in gaming, but we don't have the best track record in retaining ownership of them."
Nice to meet you.
Being a big fan of Ubisoft, I don't particularly agree with that, but then again, this is a probably great example of what a good CEO of a company should say. Is just be like, yeah, I love everybody. Everybody's great. Don't insult anybody. Don't say anything that could be construed as even slightly offensive. So yeah, I would much rather hear Randy Pritchford say things like that. It's like, I'm a fan of everybody. I love everybody, even if you don't mean it. It's just good business to be on friendly terms with people that you're potentially going to work with in the future, or might want to work with, or you may just be competing with. Let's see. Next article we have is from Gematsu. Existential comic platformer Rage in Peace launches in September for PC and this fall for Switch. What is this Rage in Peace game? Well, it's got a video for a minute-long trailer. Let's see if we can figure out what this is. So it seems like it's a game where it's a endless runner or runner platformer where things are just gonna constantly try and kill you and you're gonna die a lot. Kind of like a Super Meat Boy game, except for with a slightly different artistic style. And not too much different there. I suppose Rage in Peace does have a Steam page, so we'll click on that and keep an eye on it. Although, at this level, wishlisting games that are labeled as coming soon should just be a no-no. I should just say no, I'm not gonna do that for games anymore. Just to maintain my wish list as short as possible. So I'm not going to actually wishlist that. I'm going to close that page when it comes out and I see it on what's on Steam, which I have some faith that will happen. Then I will give it a chance. We have a game on Steam called University Tycoon 2090. What's weird here is this is not from a company I recognize. It's 25% off for $14.99. Rather expensive. It looks to me like it is kind of a simplified attempt at a building tycoon game where, like, I'm looking through all the screenshots. It seems like the generic green colored background is supposed to represent grass, and it seems like you're just developing the layout of a school very slowly. Very, very slowly. Yep. This does not look like a finished product of the game. The only other game developed by this developer is called Valknut, V-A-L-K-N-U-T, and is 14% positive with 21 user reviews. So yeah, easy enough to dismiss that game. I did see an article of someone using AI to design a school just to like maximize walking flow and make the halls less crowded, but it wasn't following any like realistic laws of architecture. So instead of having rooms that are square, the rooms are these polygonal, hexagonal shapes, and the entire building looks like a leaf, basically, instead of looking like a square place that would fit on a square plot of land that would have been allocated. And since all the rooms are not square, that means no furniture is really going to fit in lots of places. So the actual usefulness of something like that is probably pretty low. I just killed myself there. Might as well. I wasn't going to win anyways. Guess we're back to combo priest. Back to struggling to get up to just rank 20. Kimetsu is another cool Black Clover Quartet Knights Vanessa trailer. So a new character being revealed called Vanessa. She looks like a busty witch with a big witch hat, sorceress hat, I guess, and suspenders and stockings as the British put it. Or
The forest fights back.
I don't know.
The light shall bring victory.
Thigh-high stockings and straps holding them up. She's not extremely crazily dressed for what is your average anime character, but she has little accents. And she is animated as a much older looking character than you usually get. I've heard of Black Clover as the name of an anime, but I don't know anything more beyond that. So Vanessa might be a very well-known, beloved character. Let's see, next game we have on Steam is called Prank Bros, which just in the name itself seems like it's probably a extremely low effort game. But no, it seems like it's a mostly multiplayer, but it does seem to say it has some single player, 4v4 or player versus player type of game. Seems like there's different sections, maybe some mini games, but for the most part it's just you're in an area, you're fighting each other, you're punching each other, and you're trying to be the last man standing. The characters seem like in a random assortment. There's a panda, there's a sumo wrestler, there's a looks like a masked Mexican wrestler.
Mind if I roll knee? Oh, if you're sure.
There's too many of these games coming out. This one's 10% for $8.99. It's English and simplified Chinese. So I think what's happening here, if I was to guess, is that this is probably a moderately well done Chinese knockoff of Smash Brothers. Not a horrible idea, certainly, but not the best idea either. So yeah, I'm not interested in Prank Brothers. Let's see, we've got a trading card game. It's the description is World War II Poland and partisans. It's called Herwam, Herwam. And then the trailer starts with people, I guess, playing a card game in the forest.
Mind if I roll need?
And
Oh, if you're sure.
Seems like this is a mobile phone game that's been ported. It has in-game purchases. It's 35% off for $1.94. Has 64 achievements. This is one of those collectible card games that while it looks fine, it suffers because there's no backing behind it. It also suffers because there literally is just like considerable less interest in playing a card game that is set around real world war statistics and gameplay styles.
Hey, give me that! Hey, give me that!
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot of variety. It doesn't look like there's a bunch of unique systems. This seems like the cards are for the most part just comparing one metric, and that's it. So yeah, I can't recommend Herwam, although it is kind of pretty. Certainly, it's just not something that's gonna happen. Let's see, let's go and play this.
For me!
Attack. We have someone on the chat with what looks like a Russian name saying hello. Hello? Sorry, I can't read those letters with any accuracy. As a Game of Sutra blog, I'm looking over the creation of a game that nobody cares about. So, there's really nothing to say about this news story. It's making 6 Ages for iOS a retrospective. I'll tell you the name and then move on because, like, that's probably more justice than it deserves as far as coverage. Speaking of undeserved coverage, boy, does it feel like there's a lot of people talking about No Man's Sky right now, and I'm almost to the point where I'm thinking maybe this is the mainstream gaming media's attempt at being loyal to No Man's Sky and the developer and the publisher, because they were most definitely paid to hype it up when it first was coming out, and then they had to come out and say, oh, this is just awful. The fact that No Man's Sky was so extremely hyped, some of that definitely does need to fall on the shoulders of the news reporters as much as the developers of No Man's Sky. This would be the first instance, for me at least, in which I've seen somebody, video game journalists, go back and cover a game when it's been updated, because I think explicitly because they were paid to promote it, which is what I think is happening. Let's see, this could do 10, so let's see if we can take somebody out.
Shells up.
For me.
And let's just leave it there. Gematsu has an article, Kill I Killed the Game, IF details simple controls, verbal disputes, and more. So, Kill or Kill IF is a 3D battle action game where players run around the field, dash and step, and fight against their opponents using various movements and attacks. Utilize a mix of long and short range attacks to keep your foes off balance. Victory is achieved once you've depleted your opponent's health bar to 0. So it is a fight the boss in a 3D fighting area. The next paragraph says no more complicated commands, simple inputs allow for a variety of attacks. While there is only one button assigned for close range attack, combining the button with the directional input up, down, and right and pressing it during jumps and dashes will allow you to perform a variety of attacks that vary in range and direction. So this is a standard simplified way of playing a fighting game compared to, say,
For me.
Street Fighter or something where you have to load in commands and you have to do it perfectly for actions to actually work. Let's see. The next subtitle is a game of reads that fighting games would love. In addition to the basic rock, paper, scissors elements that fighting games employ, in Kill I Kill IF's case consisting of attack, guard, and break attacks, the game also incorporates 2 additional elements, evasion and evasion catch attack. Players can expect it to experience a simple yet engaging gameplay loop that encourages deep and intricate interactions in the midst of combat. Inherently, unless they throw a bunch of random fights into this game, or this is telling a story that does not parallel the story of the anime, you're not gonna have a ton of fights anyways. Like you just really shouldn't. The Kill or Kill anime only had so many episodes, and they had basically 1 or 2 fights in every episode, and it was a fighting anime. Well, I think once again I have failed. Cards. Every screenshot I've seen of this just has the main protagonist and the main antagonist from the anime series fighting, because they probably don't want to reveal anything else. Let's see. The mechanic will bring back the spirit of the animated series, introducing the Ketsu Testament, The Ketsu Testament recreates iconic scenes from the original animated series where characters engage in heated exchange of words during the battle, pressing left one and right one during the battle, and hitting the opponent with the Ketsu burst you into a Ketsu Testament. Once activated, each player will choose from 3 rock, paper, scissors choices of phrases to use as their testament. If the activator results in a win or a draw in this engagement, the winner's Ketsu level increases. When your Ketsu level increases, that character receives massive powers up, such as enhanced normal attacks and special moves. At max level, you gain access to the instant kill, Fiber Lost Secret Arts, or Sini Soshitsu Ougi. Ketsu levels do not decrease during battle. So yeah, this game really does feel like it is a rather short experience. It feels like you're going to be playing a game that has you fight bosses that take a little bit longer than you would expect.
I don't have enough mana.
And once you've defeated the boss, you just move on to the next boss. There's an update here. Arc System Works has shared that an official English version of this update. We've updated the post to reflect the official English translation. The fact that they're concerned about the English translation tells me that this is a game that's going to come to the West. For me, as a YouTuber who criticizes video games, if this game comes out in the West, and it is the type of game I think it is, where it's not focusing on something like Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is a game that more wants you to fight forever, or Street Fighter kind of wants you to fight forever, or Dragon Ball Xenoverse and some of the other Dragon Ball games want you to fight forever and go through the entire series of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Kai and Dragon Ball Super. So, like, this would be a shorter experience if it only took me a month, or less than a month. If it really only took me a week to play this game, that would be fine with me. Also, you have that weird censorship issue too, where because they're in purposely ridiculously scantily clad clothing, going for a week would probably be better if I have to censor things out, which I doubt they're even going to push it that far. Let's see. GameIndustry.biz has a story. Gung Ho shares slump on the decline of Puzzles and Dragons. Q2 results showing falling revenue and profits as the flagship game shows the sign of age. I never played Puzzles and Dragons. I played a similar game called Tower of Saviors, though. It certainly was fun for a while, and then I lost my save file, and I certainly didn't want to start over again. One of the video game developers I follow was asking for recommendations for Match 3 games, so I'm wondering if he is perhaps playing as market research Match 3 games to make his own. I don't know if there's too much of an industry out there, or too much demand for Match 3 games. When they're done well, that's fine. I almost feel like they need to be mini games. One of the things that Honey Pop did very well with that is it combined a Match 3 game with also a memory romance dating sim game, so that there was some more variety there. Moving on, we have a story called Starless. We have a game called Starless Night on Steam. It says, an ordinary fisherman witnesses the fall of starring. The stars fall from the sky. What now? Follow him through his journey to restore the sky. This is weirdly animated, this game is. I don't know what to even make of it. It seems like we have a very high wait time right now. Let's see. Starless Night's animation style looks like the animation style you see on some very simplistic kids game, kids cartoons, like for cartoons for preschoolers, kindergartners. I see the character walking around, but I have no idea what kind of game this is. It says it's an adventure indie casual, and I just see this character walking around and swimming. I don't see a gameplay mechanic. He's driving a boat. And see, in a weird way, this game has me intrigued. Like, I think I am gonna wishlist this game and just keep an eye on it and see what people review it as, because I cannot tell what you do in this game. Starless Night is 20% off for $7.99. And there we are done with our Asian account. So, particularly since the expansion is going to come, and that's going to take a lot of extra time out, and I just have not been doing a great job on anything lately. I definitely don't want to go long, so we're gonna move over. We got one of those, we got one of those, and we got that. Okay. And we'll mark that as red 2. Let's now move to the European account. Yeah, I'm gonna wishlist Starless Night and keep an eye on it for its intriguing art style and just lack of giving information. I guess teasing the player and not informing them goes a little bit further than letting me know for a fact that your game is not interesting to me. So we made it to rank 19, which the difference between making it to rank 19 and rank 20 is not a lot. Maybe 5 more dust. Let's see. Let's trade this one out. So we just need to play Druid. But we need to do the Tavern Brawl first. Next game we have on Steam is called Synth Rally, SYNTHRALLY. It seems like it's a 4-player air hockey type game with some different levels. Let's see, it says as single player. It requires a controller. It's 10% off for $8.99. Start this brawl. I don't see anything really wrong with Synth Rally, so I'm gonna be really generous and just save myself some hemming and hawing and thinking, and just put it on the wish list and keep an eye on it. Like, one air hockey game being covered isn't a terrible thing, but there have been quite a few air hockey-esque games, puck games, things just designed to be moderately low effort designs. Moving on, PC Gamer has an article. The former Tiny Metal The former Tiny Metal developer admits the Kickstarter embezzlement accusations were untrue. Tarek Lacey claimed last year that funds raised by the Project Phoenix Kickstarter were diverted to Tiny Metal. So let's see if we can. Let's see. I don't remember the story at all, really. Controversy engulfed the turn-based tactics game Tiny Metal ahead of his release last year when Tarek Lacey, a former marketer and PR manager on the project, claimed that funding from the project was actually drawn from money raised from another game called Project Phoenix. Tiny Metal failed to achieve the 2016 Kickstarter goal, but Project Phoenix pulled in more than 10 times its target at 100,000, which inherently, I guess if you were a private company, that would just be good business, wouldn't it? If you had two projects and one made way more money than it should, that's how games are funded. So according to Lacey, Creative Intelligence Arts, the company behind Project Phoenix, effectively closed its door and restarted as Area 35 to work on Tiny Metal, which was the game that director and producer Hiroyuki Yura actually wanted to make. Yura denied any shenanigans, saying that the Area 35 and CIA were created as separate entities to provide corporate clarity and identity. He further claimed that Lacey's accusations were factually incorrect and liable, and also accused him of personal misconduct, saying his contract with the company was bought out due to him being a toxic employee who has sexually harassed our female staff, amongst other problems. Which, man, anytime anybody gets fired now, that's an accusation that might get levied. It's probably true, but certainly I would not want to be fired and then accused of sexual harassment if I didn't do it. Let's see. The PC Gamer article continues. As we noted at the time, neither side had provided proof of their allegations, so it was entirely a matter of one word against another. That's no longer the case, however, as Lacey has now acknowledged that he was not telling the truth, and as mandated by a Japanese court of arbitration, issued an extensive public apology for his actions. So this is also a Japanese company. Wow, if it's a Japanese company that is complaining about an employee sexually harassing people, you really were sexually harassing people. The counterparty admits that the post-article comment written on the 20th of November 2017 on the Project Phoenix Facebook page managed by the complainant company is contradictory to the truth, and to apologize to the complainant company. The translated mediation rule states, as a concrete form of apology, the counterparty is to publicly post sentences as written on pages 5 and 6 of this document on his personal Facebook page. That apology, in English and Japan and Japanese, but only reproduced in English, is as follows, according to this PC Gamer article.
I wonder.
Let's see. Let's do this.
Who goes there?
This. And do this.
The light compels.
Job's done.
And then your turn. It says, on November 20th, 2017, Heisei, H-E-I-S-A 29, I posted, Heisei 29 is, I believe, probably the Japanese year on the Japanese calendar. I posted the entry comments to Area 35. Let me just skip over this thing. You can read the direct quote. The important part here is I now admit that everything it stated was contradictory truth, and I offer a deep and profound apology to Area 35 Co. Let's see. Let's see. There's an article here. It's not a complete bust for Lacey. Area 535 acknowledged in the mediation that it owes him 600,000 yen, roughly $5,400, although that win is tempered somewhat by Lacey's agreement to pay 410,661 yen, which is $3,697 that he owes to Area 35 Vice President Masamichi Iguchi, who guaranteed Lacey's rental agreement. So he's only getting a couple of $1,000s out of it. Tiny Metal was released on December 7th, 2017 to decidedly okay reviews. It got a 68 out of 100. Metacritic.
Learn the shadow lessons.
Let's see. Do I want to kill something? Probably could have killed that first. And
powering up. Portal online.
It has a mostly positive reviews on Steam. On August 2017 Kickstarter update, a Kickstarter update indicated that further funding for Project Phoenix could be forthcoming if Tiny Metal was successful. Although it's kind of in question. Let's see, right now I'm looking at Steam's page for Tiny Metal. It's 75% positive of 124 users in the last 30 days, 70% positive in general. The thing about Tiny Metal is it looks like it is just a cell phone port because of its small chibi characters. It's a turn-based strategy game, something sort of like XCOM, but it really does just look like a cell phone port. And it's $24.99, which seems a little too expensive for what it's selling. So yeah, I really don't have any reason why I think I would want to cover Tiny Metal, but interesting legal case behind there. I guess what you take away from that is that you definitely can have some disgruntled employee, particularly if you're kickstarting, which I don't think companies should kickstart. This is just one of the lesser known reasons why kickstarting or crowdfunding your game can turn into a nightmare, is because you can have disgruntled employees come in and make accusations, and then you're fighting things in arbitration and in court, and it's hurting your business. But then on the other hand, if you weren't publicly funding, if some publisher was funding Tiny Metal and an employee came out and said money was being embezzled, I imagine that publisher would do an internal review and immediately determine that that statement's just not true, and it would have just never come out to the public and never hurt the brand any at all. Let's see, we have, let's see, someone called Leakin Metten saying hi, and then he's typing something in some language that isn't English. There is a rule that says speak only in English, please. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to assume you're just a spammer and block you. So, English only. But hi anyways. So, we have this game that people are talking about a little bit, called Chasm, which is a procedurally generated, it's a procedurally generated Metroidvania game, but it's in an odd position because it procedurally generates your levels at the very beginning of the game like a seed in Minecraft, and then it kind of never changes. So you'd have to play the entire game a second time before you felt like anything was different. And it doesn't feel like Rogue Legacy, where it's a game where you die and then it's supposed to reset and there's an idea behind it. It feels like it is a slight continuation of that idea. But people don't seem to be in love with the game. It came out July 31st. It's mixed reviews, 63% of 161 reviewers. That being said, I kind of like it. I like the more knight, shield and sword style. It's closer to a Castlevania game without as much focus on vampires. But I'm really not sure if the procedurally generated part was worth their effort when they could have done something else. This is an interesting notice I'm realizing. This game is excluded from Steam's family sharing service. This is the first game I have ever seen that has said that, and I didn't think that was a possibility. Like, I just didn't think that was something Steam was allowing people to do. And it doesn't say that there's a different EULA you have to agree to. It's just saying Steam family sharing service is not allowed. Like, the problem, I think I'm seeing a review here, says the combat lacks complete fluidity. So just trying to play the game feels bad. And so it's just a game that doesn't have polish on it, which is a shame. Like, you really don't want that to be the case. To be, for that matter though, we have more games like this. One that's being recommended is called Cat Maze. One game is Rogue Legacy, which certainly, if you haven't played Rogue Legacy, one game that's being recommended is Callie's Caves 3. This is under Steam's More Like This. We have a game called Dead by Death. Not all of these may be Metroidvania games. We have one called Indica 7 The Dream King. And I haven't heard of most of these games. We have Xenon Valkyrie. You have Dead Cells, which arguably Dead Cells is probably better. Shanti and the Pirate's Curse, which almost certainly that would be better. Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight, I've heard of that one. Iconoclasts, I don't know if that really is a Metroidvania game. Shanti Risky's Revenge, which is the earlier Shanti's game, and Retro Game Crunch. So, like, a considerable number of games there to consider over Chasm. And for me, it's not going to make it to the wish list, even though it looks real pretty. If so many people are having so much trouble with it, then that needs to be addressed. And then if they do an update and somebody comes back and tells me that Chasm is good now, that would be great. But otherwise, there's plenty of other ones. I own Axiom Verge right now and still haven't even gotten around to playing that. I have Ori and the Blind Forest and I haven't gotten around to that. So I have 2 or 3 Metroidvania games already in my list of games I need to get around to playing, and I haven't done that. So I'm not even really in the market for buying Metroidvania games. Anyways, it's been an hour and 13 minutes, so now is a good time to break up this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me, friend me on Steam, gift me a game or a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, August 1st. It's kind of a lazy Wednesday. I'm a little bit sleepy. We need to play Druid and more Druid. And I also need to get the Tavern Brawl done. I forgot about that, so let's start with that. So, I was wrapped up last recording talking about a game called Chasm that just quite doesn't cut the mustard as a Metroidvania game. And in games like this, there was a list of things that were Metroidvania games or similar games on Steam that were recommended. And the first one was called Cat Maze. The graphics for Cat Maze don't look amazingly good, but it maybe plays really well and is in a sense the opposite of Chasm, where Chasm looked really good but played poorly. So I'm willing to put Cat Maze on my wish list and see how it is. It's 15% off right now for $8.49. And when did this game come out? May 24th, 2018. It's not an incredibly old game. But, that being said, I may come back and close Cat Maze because I'm looking at several. The next one on the list is called Callie's Caves 3. It's rated very positive, 85% of 234 user reviews, and seems like this too, the graphics are not too good, but it must play pretty well. And I guess inherently, if you've already gone through the main 3 or 4 Metroidvania games out there, you could probably play these games with the slightly lesser quality graphics and be moderately happy with them. Like Callie's Caves 3 is $6.99, and there's also a game called Callie's Trails on Steam, but it doesn't seem like Cali's Caves 1 or 2 are on Steam. I'm in a weird position here, though, because I don't know how many of these I really want to play. I already have Ori and the Blind Forest, and I already have Axiom Verge. I want to play the real Castlevania games if they're on PC. The Metroid part of that, of a Metroidvania, won't ever be on PC, so that kind of sucks. Because I like the story of the Metroid series kind of more than I like the gameplay style. Particularly like Metroid 1 is not great. The next Metroidvania game I'm looking at came out July 18th in 2018. It has 2 user reviews at 66%. It's called Dead by Death. And it looks like it is straight up a Castlevania clone, with a lot of heads-up display elements. It seems like you're playing as a Dracula. It's English and Simplified Chinese, $11.99. Interesting dilemma that puts me in, because do I want to cover a known entity that other people have already dealt with? Or do I want to take a risk on something new? And then certainly it becomes a question of just like how long is too old for a game to have come out and not have any reviews on it. Of course, I'm also adding time to my stream, which I really don't have time to add time to my stream by going through older games. Like, next game I have that's a Metroidvania is called Indica 7 The Dream King. I think I can eliminate this one as a possibility because it has that pixel graphics, 8-bit graphics style to it. So even if this played really well, it just looks so bad to my eye. Not only because it has pixel graphics, it also just kind of looks bad because it seems like it has some kind of blur filter over it.
The dark path is my destiny.
Yeah. So Indica 7 The Dream King is $4.99. I can close that one. Next game we have is called Xenon Valkyrie. It has mixed results at 67% for 80 user reviews. It too has that small pixely 8-bit graphics style. So I think I can close this one too without really having to consider it too much. It's $9.99. Dead Cells, on the other hand, is very positive at 92% of 608. I think Dead Cells is probably one of the ones to play. It's still labeled as early access, and ideally I would not play early access games. I just don't want to deal with that stuff. Dead Cells also is $24.99, which is actually rather expensive. Although maybe I could get it in the not a Metroidvania bundle with Skeleton Sanctuary and Sundered and Guacamelee, because I have some of those games that might be easier. The Shanti series is very positive at 92%. of 14 user reviews in 30 days, and overwhelmingly positive, 95% in general for Shanti and the Pirate's Curse. Really, Shanti is the one to play as, and they just put out an update for Shanti, the latest one, where you can play in her sleeping gown, and then she throws a pillow and throws sheep, and the point being there that it's a half asleep theme. And then there's another part where she turns into a little robot tank character and drives around and shoots pellets. So different play styles with the same game, which is interesting considering what kind of game it is. Shanti is definitely one to play. Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight is a very well-known game. Well, it's a lesser-known game actually. It's overwhelmingly positive, 95% over its lifetime. Came out on March 4th, 2016. So that's definitely one for the wishlist too. And the more I think about it, I think that probably means I have a big enough list of Metroidvania games already. So there's not enough justification to let's see. Like one away. I'm gonna play it safe. Iconoclast is rated very positive at 88% over its lifetime, and it's a Metroidvania game too. I guess I've heard of Iconoclast. I need to double check and make sure that's on my wish list. Then Shanti's Risky's Revenge Director's Cut is very positive at 89%. This came out July 15th, 2014.
Well played.
Yeah, the Shanti series in general is probably a great PC Metroidvania game series to play. I can't believe I still lost there. That's ridiculous. And then I believe the last one on the list is Retro Game Crunch, which is a series of 7 games full of charm and challenge of the 8-bit generation. Each would feels like an authentic NES classic, a massive genre-spanning collection. I don't know if I really want to play 7 games that are designed to look like NES games. Frankly, without that history back there, that's kind of silly. Sure, if Nintendo would let people, I would stream Super Mario Bros. 1, Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3.
The pleasure
yeah,
is
just
mine.
play those, talk about them, have that nostalgia for it. But I wouldn't play a new game that was exactly like or very similar to Super Mario Bros. 1 because there's no historical relevancy. And let's face it, as good as the Super Mario Bros. Series were, as good as all of the good games in the old NES era were, they're not to modern taste. They're not really worth playing, other than to have some foundational retrospective on them. So Retro Game Crunch is $9.99, and I assume one of the games, at least in this, is Castlevania, but not all of them. So close that. So then that puts us back to games that have come out recently. We have a game called the Z-Axis Continuum. Escape a bizarre world with a rotating universe. Use portals, physics, time, and clones as floors become walls and walls become ceilings. Really, this just looks like it's a rotating world game that I've seen before, with a tiny little pixel man and and some pretty generically drawn and colored doors. Like a blue door is just a solid blue door.
I wonder.
Embrace the light.
Yeah. And they're not even setting it in a 3D world, they're setting it in a 2D world. A flat 2D plane, so calling it the Z-axis continuum is not even the right name. A Z-axis continuum is $9.99 with no discount. And there's a GeForce driver update. Let me just close that first. Play that.
Elements I like. Totems I love.
In the turn. We've got a game on Steam called Saint Slaughter X Days.
Incredible.
It's a bunch of anime characters in religious-esque clothing. Let's see. It's a visual novel. Story revolves around the conflict between the Templar and the Sorcerer, the Goddess, the Goodness, and the Evil. It's 13%, 13 user reviews, 100% positive on this visual novel. Let's see. Okay, yep, this sounds and feels like a very anime plot. The animation looks fine. Not astoundingly great, but not bad at all.
Totally.
This is a Chinese only game. 30% off for $2.09. Well, I can't really call it a cheap Chinese visual novel or anything. It's weird that they give it English names and such, and then it doesn't have English support. But yeah, overall, look, this looks like a fine visual novel for people who can read Chinese. Not for anybody else. I wouldn't be surprised if a Chinese version of a visual novel just has a slightly simpler story, no crazy twists, no insane additions. Japanese stories in general tend to be always pushing forward to be more extreme to catch people's eye and sell more copies.
Where's my cat?
Gematsu has an article, Compile Heart's new RPG is desert themed, titled Arc of Alchemist. Nothing else really to be said there yet.
What lurks?
We're getting I think we're in one of those cycles where they're announcing games but they're not doing anything else other than announcing the titles. Gematsu has an article, Varnir, V-A-R-N-I-R, of the Dragon Star introduces Karikaro, Laponito, and Charlotte transformations. I'm seeing like 3 anime girls that are half girl, half dragon, it looks like.
The beast is near.
Let's see, play this. Freezing and
Choose soon. Here we go.
play that.
Here we go. go.
Let's see. Yep. All of this article is really just centering around 3 pictures of these 3 characters, and I assume what are transformed states. Like, yeah, 2 of the girls seem like they've transformed into half dragons and have sharp wing-like outfits, and then one of them looks like they've transformed into a half fairy and has more of a butterfly wing. I don't know what kind of game this is, though. It's an RPG, I guess, according to the tags. It's coming out for the PS4 on October 11th in Japan. We'll have to see if it comes out to the West. There's a chance, but I wouldn't be amazed if it's not a big chance. Let's go on this side here.
That didn't go.
There we go. Next game we have on Steam is called Invasion of the Box People. It seems like it is a top-down twin-stick shooter using small pixel art, and I mean really small pixel art here. It's like a worse version of Robotron 2048 than Robotron 2048, or was it just called Robotron originally? Yeah, I don't see anything here that looks interesting. They want $7.99, and the graphics are just way too ugly, so close that tab. Next game we have on Steam is called Pillow, P-Y-L-O-W, and seems like it's a probably asset flip first-person shooter MMO game. It's multiplayer only, at least, so it doesn't matter to me. It's $19.99, and it really just does feel like an asset flip. You really can't do a multiplayer first-person shooter without having a lot more support behind it. If it's not a big AAA developer making it, don't even bother. You never get the player base that you need. Of course, it seems like somebody falls for these. I'm trying to see if maybe there's some reason why people would buy this. There's no achievements, there's no trading cards. So yeah, I have no idea why people would want to play it, if people did. Next game we have on Steam is called Radiant 1. It says Radiant 1 is an illusory, short story-driven adventure with mystical elements. Or illusory short story. Maybe that's how you pronounce that. The tags are action, RPG, indie, story-rich, casual. This is kind of a flat animation style, with a lack of shading, a lack of variety in tones and color. But I wouldn't inherently say that that's just bad animation as much as an animation style that people haven't seen a lot. Let's see, it's in English and Russian, which take that for what it is. It's 10% off for $4.49, and it's 90% positive for 10 user reviews. So I'm gonna keep an eye on Radiant 1 and see if we can get some more reviews on it. PC Gamer has an article. Bungie accidentally broke Destiny 2's matchmaking and a lot of players prefer it this way. Let's see. What can I do here?
Safety restrictions offline. Harvesting servos engaged.
Let's see if we can get some more. The quote here is, "Our plan for the immediate future is to take no immediate action." Due to a bug introduced in recent updating, the matchmaking system for Destiny 2's quick play PvP is currently not following the game's usual skill-based formula. According to PvP design lead Derek Carroll, the bug results in much faster but lower quality matches than usual. But according to many Destiny 2 players, the bug results in a better player versus player experience. Ordinarily, quick play players are grouped according to their Crucible stats and their connection strength. Let's see. 3 damage to everybody. Well, why didn't I do this first?
Scuttle the ship!
Just a pinch of
Let's see. This makes for fairer games, but also slower and tougher games, which isn't what some people come to quick play mode for. Many players argue since Destiny 2 has a competitive playlist dedicated to Down to the Wild contest, the skill is perfectly okay for quick play to be a bit of a mess as long as it's a fun mess. Interesting. And then they had a poll: Are you happy with the current quick play matchmaking? 56% said yes, 28% said yes mostly, and 16% said no.
I wonder.
So yeah, people are just happier to get into the games faster and play versus worrying about
You take more candle.
let's see.
Delicious spider.
Play this.
soon. A new recipe. Here we go.
Alright, we've got a game on Steam called IRO Space Hero. It's an indie action shoot 'em up 2D pixel graphics. Generally, in a scroll towards the top shoot 'em up bullet hell-esque game, you don't see such sharp animation. Nor do you see the characters so zoomed in on, which makes it all the people you're fighting actually really big looking and the screen rather small looking. Inherently though, it's still just a style of game I don't want to ever play. This has a 60 review on OpenCritic already. Let's see. This and let's do
The
this.
sky darkens at your tail.
In the turn. Yeah, Euro Hero is 15% off for $8.49. It seems like regardless of quality, everybody wants $10 or thereabout for their game. Yeah, I have no interest in it. Let's see, we've got a game called Space in Between Worlds. It's very positive, 97% with 70 users. reviews, and that seems rather high since this is a free-to-play, what looks like a short puzzle game. Maybe people just like it at the price that it's being offered for, which is free, which is frankly a better response than a lot of games. Honestly, all this looks like is a single screen Unity game where you play as different colored squares, and that's it.
Magic shall not save.
It's free though, so how can you complain you're free? But since it's free, I have no interest in playing it. Let's do this. Let's do this. So we've got the return of spam games on Steam that are just puzzle slider games with lewd anime characters and lewd poses and moderate states of undress. So we've got Ichi, that's ECCHI, puzzle on Steam, at least for the moment. And every time we see a game like this, the question, it really comes down to, why is this game allowed to be released? Oh, apparently it has a scratch-off minigame on top of being a puzzle game. That's more than I expected. Yeah, actually I haven't seen that as a concept. We need to play more Druid class cards now, and then we'll be done. We might as well play ranked. So we'll just play hand Druid, that should be fine. One assumes these are either assets for the girls or stolen assets. Seems like there's only two pictures that are being shown anyways. It's early access, 40% off for 59 cents.
I must protect the wild.
Like, in a weird way, I don't know what's going on here, because why are these games not getting flagged by... Why are these straight up troll games by this developer in particular not getting flagged by Steam or getting looked at? Inherently, Steam needs at least one person who is looking at every game that's going through Steam Direct or going to be released just before the fact and saying, I'm going to look at this game and I'm going to either flag it and send it up to a bigger committee or somebody above me to see if they're going to say yes or no to this game, or I'm going to reject it immediately. And in fact, you probably would just have one employee. That's all you need. Giant Bomb was talking about the same idea and saying, well, you need a lot of employees, and I was like, not really. It would be one full-time person's job to look. You're just going to look at all the applications, you're going to look at all the screenshots, you're going to watch all the videos, and anything that looks iffy, looks like a troll game, just reject it immediately, and then have an appeal process. If people file the appeal, then that's when it goes up to the higher ups. If somebody files the appeal and it turns out that it is still a troll game, that it wasn't a mistake wasn't made, then that's when you probably start to think about banning the developer in general. The developer of this game has sold a bunch of lewd games, a bunch of dinosaur games, a bunch of random things. The vast majority of every game they've ever released has been rated mixed or negative. it's just not a quality product. It really isn't. And it's, I don't think even trying to do anything. Like, I don't see any items for sale, I don't see any trading cards, I don't see any achievements. It's just trying to sell very extremely light porn. And I don't know who can buy porn on, or extremely light porn on Steam, but can't get it free on the internet.
Beetleberries.
You'd have to be on a pretty censored, like, internet connection, I suppose. Moving on, next game we have on Steam is called Bang Bang Fruit 3. Yes, this is a just too simply animated game to be worth my time. You are controlling a cannon that's trying to shoot like a cherry on top of a cake or something similar to that idea.
For the wild.
So yeah, I have no interest in Bang Bang 3, so I close that. Sorry, I know I'm having a lot of pauses here. I'm half asleep. Half asleep again. Your Gamer has an article, Mario Tennis Aces, Bowser Jr. is being nerfed again. Waluigi is also in harm's way. So Nintendo is still nerfing and adjusting the power levels of Bowser Jr., who seems like he was really overpowered. Gamatsu once a week pretty much releases Famitsu's review scores. Famitsu being a well-known and respected Japanese video game magazine, kind of like a Nintendo Power without being directly related to any of the pub games. I haven't been covering them. I don't think I am going to cover them. There's just too much to talk about otherwise to come here and say Bullet Girls Fantasia, for example, got a 7, 8, 8, and 8, which is a 31 out of 40. They apparently have 4 different reviewers review a game, and I believe only 3 or 4 games have ever gotten a perfect 40. So it's a pretty high standard that games are being held to. But there's no reviews or anything in this article getting into it. At best, you could take this list and say, well, the games that they looked at this week were Bullet Girls Fantasia, Charade Mechanics, Darkest Dungeon, Dream Match Tennis VR, Jake Hunter Detective Story. I could go on, but it really is just kind of a random assortment of games in general, many of which probably haven't come to the West. About to lose. I should have played this. We've got a game on Steam called Blast Zone Tournament. This seems like it is a Bomberman clone, which inherently, when you think about how bad Bomberman has been, that's not a terrible thought. Says it has over 10 billion combos in the outfits. And the trailer is quite flashy. Has its own EULA, single player, multiplayer. Fast-paced game. Meets explosive combat, 32-player cross-platform multiplayer, your local online. Oh yeah, there's way too many players in this game though. Like, that is just way too many. There's 32 actually on the screen fighting each other and trying to blow each other up. And the screen levels are not designed big enough for that to make sense. And you're already zoomed out. The idea is great, but the actual sellability of the concept is flawed. Like, I cannot recommend playing Blast Zone Tournament because it's gonna have no player base at all. It's early access, $19.99. If there was another Blast Zone game of some sort that was a single player experience going the same way, I might very well go with that. But there isn't. This is the first game from that developer, so moving on. Yeah, another game doesn't make it to the wish list.
Time waits for no one.
Oh man, I was one short.
For the wild.
Next game we have on Steam is called Legion's Crawl. It looks like it is a isometric view, top-down dungeon crawler rogue like game, roguelite game maybe. RPG is what they're saying it is. And the graphics just don't look good enough to make me want to play it. Particularly the graphics of the area that you're in don't look great. It's 10% off for $4.49.
For the wild.
Let's see, Gematsu has another cool Darksiders 3 environmental puzzle gameplay. So that's another video I'm gonna watch. Meanwhile, as that video is playing, I will say PC Gamer has an article. Quake Champions is getting new music from the Brutal Doom composer Andrew Holschult. Which, okay, good to know. There's nothing else that I really need to know about that. Now I look back to the previous tab. So I saw Fury use her chain to hit some kind of creature on the ground that then blew up. And now she's just hit some kind of hanging sack that has left some kind of red goo on the ground. And now she's just picked up an insect of some sort that I assume will explode. And she's throwing... She tried to throw this insect near the red goo. Yeah, the insect eats the red goo and then starts glowing. And then when it's glowing, you can throw it as a bomb. Interesting. Certainly an interesting move. Now in the first Darksiders, there were just glowing plants that you would grab. Adding a little bit more to it makes me wonder if you're going to do it a little less or a little more. Or if there's just going to be a little bit more puzzles in general. It slightly keeps things fresh, I guess. But it also comes off as rather weird.
My will is not my own.
And she's blowing up all kinds of spider webs that are blocking paths. Let's see. And now it's skipped to further along in the story section. Imagine where she's in her fiery mode where her hair's on fire, and apparently she can swing and jump on spider webs and start them on fire, and then the spider webs will spread the fire with everything they touch. And we've got 2 more druid cards to play. We're not getting any victories, but we don't really need them. She also has like a ground pound attack in her fiery mode that will start things on fire.
Anduin. The light shall bring victory.
I must protect the wild.
One almost assumes that the spider webs would regrow if you made a mistake. Now she has a sword that looks like a crystal sword that we've seen before. She's put it on her back. So I imagine she needs to find a statue that would hold the crystal sword to activate a door somewhere. Yep, that's where they went with that. The way this looks, it seems like there's less of a persona in her magic. In Darksiders 2 particularly, you had these giant skeleton hands that would come out of nowhere and open chests for you. Here it just seems like little swishes of energy, which just looks better. It's less cluttered on the screen. So I believe that was the last card I needed to play, but I would like to win if I can. And she's jumping up and hitting door switches. And she seems like she can use the sword that's on her back to fight also. From what I'm seeing, this does definitely feel like Darksiders 1. That they've given up the any part that was like Darksiders 2 is not going to be here. To almost an extreme level where some of the ideas or concepts might have made sense if integrated in more. Seems like they are changing a little things to keep the game interesting, but it's still very much going to be just more Darksiders 1, which is, at this point, more Darksiders 1 is great. It's exactly what I want in the series. Let's see. There's like no review score here, so I don't need to talk about this article. PC Gamer has an article. EA takes down the open source SimCity 2000 remake for using copyrighted assets. OpenSC2K used sprites lifted directly from SimCity 2000, and that's no good. You kind of assumed that's what EA was going to do, regardless. There are ways to protect yourself there if you have artists redraw every single asset and you in a clean room clone SimCity 2000, but
where shall I strike?
But yeah, Again, this is an instance where don't make a fan mod, don't make a fan version of a game. Just make a new game in the style of SimCity 2000 and make it your own. It'd be much better doing that instead of working on projects that are doomed to get DMCA'd.
Well,
GameIndustry.biz has an article. Steam active users are on an unusual decline throughout 2018. Steep decrease after January surge may reflect the popularity of PUBG than Fortnite. So the number of active users though should be going up unless people are playing PUBG and Fortnite on some other service other than Steam, which I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are just playing Fortnite on like Xbox or PS4. I'm not too worried about it though, like and Steam clearly is not worried about it. They're still banning cheaters left and right. I think Steam is not going anywhere anytime soon. Next game we have on Steam is called In the Dark. It's an RPG Maker game. It looks like pretty much every other RPG Maker game. Not good, so we can close that tab. Let's see. We have a game called Warcraft. WARRECS. It's a VR game.
Out of my jungle!
It says Warcraft is a massive multiplayer game. You have only one goal: eat as many stars as possible. So it seems like it's a multiplayer only MMO based on tiny, ugly pixel art. No thank you. Does it require VR? No. Let's see.
I bring life.
PC Gamer has an article. The Humble Sport bundle delivers speed, strategy, and Donnie books on ice. So get Grid 2, Dirt Rally, Eastside Hockey Manager, and more all on the cheap. I'll talk about that bundle a little bit later, more in detail. Maybe not today. Though I'm starting to feel it, where I kind of would just like to wrap it up today. Let's see. Are we done with the European account? Yes, we are. So let's move over to the Asian account. I mean the Americas account. We've got a game on Steam called End War Real-Time Strategy RTS. Looks like MS Paint level graphics, Windows 95 level game. Looks awful. It's $8.99 with no discounts, so no thank you. We made it to rank 19 on this one too. I'm not even going to bother to change the card back. I'm just going to move forward. Play a bunch of Warlock class cards. Let's see. Win with the Warlock a bunch of times. Your Gamer has an article. You can define your own weird religion in Reus, that's R-E-U-S, developers' new God game called Godhood. I think it's kind of been a long time since we've had a God game.
Watch your back.
So that's slightly interesting. I don't know if this is on Steam yet, though. It's coming out in 2019, so it's interesting that they're making a game like that, but until it's out, I really can't action on it. Let's see. Gematsu has an article, MuseSynx, that's MUSYNX, version 1.1.1 update adds 11 new songs and a jump feature. This seems to be a PS4, Switch, and PS Vita music Guitar Hero-esque game, except for in an anime style.
Choose soon.
The jump feature allows users to easily navigate through the game's 90+ songs. I don't think this game is available in the West, and I think with the music rights and all of that, this is probably a game that's not likely to make it to the West either. But if it does,
so many.
It says Japanese and Chinese language support is also included. That's weird. Like, how could you?
Here we go.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna keep an eye out and see if I can find this on PC. Well, actually, it's not on PC, so maybe it is in the West, but it's not on PC, and that's why I've never heard of it. Well, yeah, it's not on PC, so forget it. We've got a very generic game called Kids Learn on Steam. Looks like a very, very early learning game. I'm not sure how much faith you want to put into a company like this. It's $7.99. Like, frankly, YouTube's not the best place for your kids to be learning anything, but there probably is a website out there that is a trustworthy source. So maybe it is as simple as just letting your kids play at Disney.com or something like that, or Kids Disney, something that has some name behind it that you would be happier with. Looking at the developer who's made this game, they've made a lot of games and none of them have ever been rated, and they seem to just be kind of making random games, so I wouldn't really trust them with your kids' education. Similarly, we've got a game called Alien Hunt 3D that looks just awful. I don't really need to talk about it any more than that. It is just so extremely bad looking for $4.99. Worse than anything you would expect. It, like, Doom looks better than this, and it kind of is a Doom Wolfenstein 3D game. Wolfenstein 3D would look better than this. It's just horrible, like disgustingly bad looking. PC Gamer has an article, NVIDIA is planning a GeForce event with a spectacular surprises on August 20th. The event is scheduled the day before Gamescom 2018 kicks off. I guess you'd probably have to go to this event. It's probably close to Gamescom. They might be giving away some video cards or something like that. We have what looks like another troll game called Shop Tycoon the Boss. Even if it's not a troll game, it's really, really ugly looking. So early access, $4.99. No thank you. Close that tab.
Here we go.
We already talked about this, but Gamatsu has an article. Shanti Half Journey Hero update adds Jammies mode and Blaster Master Zero Transformation Dance, which is just 2 modes. One where she's playing in her pajamas and hitting people with pillows and throwing sheep, and one where she can turn into the Blaster Master Zero. Funny ideas, certainly, kind of just out of the blue. It's for Shanti Half Genie Hero, which is available now. I'm gonna have to double check to make sure it's the, like, there's a couple of Half Genie Heroes is the weird thing here.
Move!
Next we have a game on Steam called Malfortune, a twin stick shooter. It looks like it has MS Paint graphics, and so no thank you. It's 10% off for $8.99. Just trying to burn through all of this news. So we had some scam games on Steam, and so Valve has decided to add a pop-ups to the community market warning of potential scams. Dialog boxes warn users if they attempt to purchase an item for a game they don't own or a new release. Also, it takes approval to change the name of the game that a item is from. Why you would even allow them to do that in the first place is weird. A lot of the mainstream video game media are complaining about this story, like Valve did something wrong or by laying the game on their store originally, while kind of turning a blind eye and not even paying any attention to the fact that Valve reacted very quickly in this instance. It seems like in less than half a day they heard the report and investigated and removed the game, and they're refunding people who got scammed. So I mean, they're doing everything they can do short of actually curating the games before they come out on release, which is the one thing they need to do. But then also a lot of the mainstream video game media was just using this as an excuse to say, well, you need to actually curate your store in the different way, which is to say we want it to not have anime sex games in it. Which is, or we want it to not have any game that we disagree with it in it. Frankly, SJWs will want to silence any detractors or any competition, because frankly their ideas don't sell on their own. Their ideas only work on the basis of silencing any competition, so it's the only thing that's heard.
I did this. I cursed them all.
And remember, I'm talking about SJWs there, not just liberals in general. Some liberal ideas do make sense. It's just the extremist liberals, people who have gone down this rabbit hole of insanity. PC Gamer has an article. Logitech is acquiring Blue Microphones, maker of the popular Yeti series. Since I have a Blue Yeti, Blue was the name of the company, microphone myself, this is slightly concerning because I don't want Logitech to get in there and change the level of quality of microphones or the price of the microphones. and that is a slight concern. On the other hand, this might just be Logitech buying them out to make money off of them. Let's see, we've got a game on Steam called Pixel Ripped 1989. It's Pixel Ripped 1989 is a wacky multi-dimensional homage to early days of games. The player embarks on a journey into the screen of a classic video game and beyond. So you have kind of like this Game Boy like plays controller in your hand, but you're also going to different worlds where you're seeing those worlds around you and probably interacting with you. Unfortunately, this is a VR game. It's 20% off for $19.99. I would take more interest certainly in this game if it wasn't VR. Pixel Rip 1989 might be a rather interesting game to play, but not for me. Since I don't play VR, I don't have VR.
Here we go.
Forsaken Remastered is, let's see if we can reload this actually. Let's see. Is out now. It's positive, 90% positive for 10 user reviews. This is just Night Dive basically re-releasing Forsaken. I think historically speaking, it's important enough for me to own it, but it certainly is a game I'm not going to play for very long. I'd probably do like a 30-minute spotlight on it. It's 10% off for $17.99, which is probably way too expensive. This game is really out of nowhere. In the fact that
Here we go.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice has come out in a virtual reality edition on Steam. It's 92% positive of 68 user reviews, 66 user reviews. It's an interesting idea certainly, but it seems like this is kind of weird too, that since they got purchased by Microsoft and they were having that financial support, why are they releasing a VR version now? I don't believe there was a VR version before, or for like PlayStation or anything. The good news here is you get it, I think, regardless. You get it if you probably already own Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and if you try to buy Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice right now, you get the VR edition, which is better than Skyrim's VR edition, which is a separate game. And yeah, this would probably be by far the best and the longest VR game to have ever come out now.
Here we go.
That is kind of surprising. So I'll definitely make sure those are on my wish list. See, we have a game called Rend, R-E-N-D. See, seems like it's an open world, team-based survival game. So it's kind of just another Rust clone. It's early access, $29.99. Might have a bit of a more Nordic feel to it. It's got some, but it's also got laser guns. The graphics don't look bad, it's just this is a survival game that inherently doesn't interest me. So yeah, for that reason I'm gonna close Rend and not think about it probably ever again. we have a casual strategy puzzle game called Smart Cube. It says Smart Cube is a first-person puzzle game where you have to escape from a scientific experiment, get ready to have your intellect tested. It actually looks pretty good, this game. 58 Steam achievements is a little high. It's 20% off for $7.99. Yeah, I think I'll keep that one on my wish list. And where are we at this point? I need to get Priest and Warlock victories, and I need to play Warlock cards. And let's open this. I think it's just time for me to confess I'm too sleepy to go on further and make a third recording. So it's been kind of a mess anyways today on this stream. We've gotten a considerable amount of the news done. There's definitely some games, all 5 of those cards getting turned into dust. Nice. Let's see, let me just see if there's anything. That story would still be relevant Friday. That story is still relevant Friday. Just talked about that game. Randy Pitchford, man, I'm talking about what he's tweeting every day now, practically. He retweeted a lady who's doing a GoFundMe for her grandmother who's trying to get an artificial kidney. I didn't think artificial kidneys were available yet. She seems to just be a fan. According to her bio, she's 24 years old. Also, she uses the pronouns she, he, and she's pansexual. And I don't know what INFP even stands for, but then she's also a gamer, and maybe she's from Indiana. It's just kind of weird. Weird for Randy Pitchford to for him to retweet it, trying to be a nice guy. Certainly it's not the right thing. This GoFundMe is $430 with a $400,000 goal, and that's certainly a lot, and it's probably not going to get funded. It's been raised by 3 funders to get to 430. Yeah, that's, let's see, one $400 anonymous and one $10 and one $20 anonymous donation. Well, one of the $10 wasn't anonymous, but whatever. The problem with doing something like this is you run into the risk of this being a scam, and then you've unintentionally propagated a scam, or you run into the risk of this being not a scam, and then people just come with their hands out to Randy Pitchford all the time, and then his Twitter gets flooded with him retweeting people's charities and causes. It's certainly easier for corporations and the CEOs of corporations to say let's just not have any morals and not support any organization or any GoFundMe or anything, because it's just going to be too much. We'll see what happens. But in general, I agree with the spirit of them. This is at least the first time in several of these conversations where I think he's tweeted inappropriately as the CEO of Gearbox, where I think his heart was in the right place, his mind just wasn't. PC Gamer has an article, hackers have infiltrated Reddit and pillaged data from 2007 and earlier. It seems like a lot of it is probably not super important stuff, but yeah, that kind of sucks. This story may very well story may come out later and expand. Let's see, Valve's fantasy card game Artifact will be out in November. It will also be playable at PAX West. Eurogamer has an article, Anatomy of a Tabloid Fortnite front page, where they talk about how the Daily Mirror offered $300 to a family so that they could write a story about him being addicted to Fortnite, which, I mean, you're paying for the article, you're paying people to say what you want to say. That's not reporting, really. There's more to this article, but it's just, yeah, bad journalism, getting called out by Eurogamer, which Eurogamer isn't the bastion of good journalism in the first place, so that's just, you know, you just don't pay sources for a news report. You really don't. Gematsu has an article, Middle-earth Shadow of War Definitive Edition announced. I definitely probably would get the Definitive Edition at this point, but I'm in no hurry really to play Shadow of War. It'll be as good or better later on. And see, I'm just going through articles, trying to see. Yakuza 0 is out on Steam. The former THQ and Geotech boss is now going to be the president and CEO of the Sega of America. He will also serve on the Atlas board. That's slightly concerning because THQ was run into the ground by bad investment and just overly licensing games. If Sega of America starts doing that too, that would be a problem. However, you know, on the other hand, Sega of America could release slightly more games. So if he takes them in a good direction, I hope that's the way this goes. And it's just a ton of games. Stardew Valley multiplayer is now out on PC. I don't think I really need to report any more on that. See, I just don't, like, I'm too tired to continue playing, but I'm still also not at the point where I'm even closed most of the pages. Yeah, there's so many more games that we'll talk about on Friday. And see, now that I'm hitting Control Tab to tab through to tabs that are beyond the top title bar on Chrome, I can't close those tabs anyways. because they're still not being shown. And I made it to the Humble store. They have this Humble Sports Bundle. For $1 you can get Grid 2, Sega Bass Fishing, and Eastside Hockey Manager, which is probably for me, if I was going to get like Sega Bass Fishing, that might make sense for $1. If you pay more than the average of $5.75, you get Motorsport Manager, Dirt Rally, Super Bloody Hockey, and 75% off for Football Manager 2018. Football Manager being soccer, I assume. I already own Dirt Rally, which would have been the thing that caught my eye there. And if you pay $12 or more, you get F1 2017. Yeah, and I really don't feel like there's anything there that interests me enough. Like, some of those codes, if somebody was to buy that Humble Bundle and send me codes to games they're not interested in, I'll do quick spotlights on them, but I'm not big into sports games. Definitely. Here's a tweet from Elon Musk. If you're into video game development, consider applying to Tesla. We want to make super fun games that integrate the center touchscreen, phone, and car IRL. Okay, if you want to work for Tesla, I would caution against it. It may be an alright job, but it may not. I think people got way too excited about Tesla and they overhyped what they could deliver on. And that's about it. I'm just scrolling down my Twitter feed to see if any new news needs to be reported. Right now, I don't think that it does. There's more games coming out. Probably need to do a quality pass on the games. Also, I'm gonna have to play a little bit off screen to get daily quests done. I'm just gonna do all of this off screen where I don't have to talk and where I don't have to focus on it. Then I'm probably gonna take a nap. My throat's real dry. And yeah, this is a weird way to end a recording. Episodes are still airing as far as I can tell on my channel for pre-recorded footage. Everything should be airing. At least, I don't know if there's anything else to say there. It's like, yeah, check out what's airing on my channel. Yep. I'm ready to wrap this up. That's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.